welcome back to Arts Respond on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. I'm your host, Lucy Gellman, and I am so excited to be here today with Billy DiCrosta, Neil Fuentes, Mozart, then adorable, I was going to say puppy. Oh, wait, there are two?
Yes, this is Noah.
Hi, Noah. Oh, okay, that's amazing. I thought I was seeing double for a minute. And Lisa Costello, who plays Lynn in, sorry, I told you I was going to mess it up, and I did.
No, you didn't.
In
You're fine.
a production of Steel Magnolias that is up and running at the Cabaret in Maine. So we are going to hop into this. We're going to start by talking about Steel Magnolias, and then we're going to open this up to the fact that there is sort of a miraculous amount of work in the arts happening in this sweet little building. So first of all, Lisa, welcome to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. I'm so happy you're here. I'm sorry we're not on my computer. It was one of those days when the office was very loud. So everyone's on the screen of a phone, and that's okay. But so Lisa, I would love to talk to you first about this production of Steel Magnolias, and Billy and Neil, feel free to hop in as well. Actually, I would love to ask you, like, why Steel Magnolias right now? Why was this the right moment for this show?
I think there's a multitude of different reasons. Number one, it's Women's History Month, right? So this month is all about celebrating women. Part of our mission with Broadway on Main, which is our community theater outreach program, is producing shows that have to do with mental health awareness, where characters go through some kind of traumatic experience and that there's some type of conflict resolution within that show. And so this show definitely fits within that as well. Beside the fact that type 1 diabetes is very near and dear to our hearts. We lost a teacher at the very young age of 29 a couple of years ago to type 1 diabetes. So there's just a bunch of different reasons that kind of all piece the puzzle together. So we also wanted to honor her life as well by doing this show.
Yeah, I'm also just so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I will say, for folks who maybe don't know, I feel like Steel Magnolias is one of those pieces of cultural canon, in part because it's one of the like bajillion things that Julia Roberts did between, I want to say, like the early 90s and the aughts, where she was just like, she was in everything. Like if you saw a film, Julia Roberts was in it. But it follows, and it's Annabelle, right?
What's that?
Oh, I was going to say that
Shelby.
I'm so sorry. And who becomes pregnant and ultimately dies from this is like a highly condensed version, and from diabetes, which I think is something that we sort of assume is like not a medical problem anymore. Like, I think that unless you know someone in your life, so I have a very close friend who has type 1 diabetes, and I think unless you have that frame of reference, you don't think about, like, people are not thinking about it and talking about it. So I'm really glad to hear that you are starting this discussion and or catalyzing this discussion, and how beautiful that it's happening through the arts.
It's a way to express ourselves, because I just recently lost my brother 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's a way to also.
That's okay.
Welcome to Cabaret on Main. I don't know how to do that. I'm not technologically savvy.
That's okay. This is community radio at its best.
It's a way for us also as artists, people like me, and I'm sure there are millions of people like me who do not express very easily what we're feeling inside. I feel it and I release it by directing the show. Directing the show was a way for me to let go of the pain of my brother passing.
I'm wondering if you could share just a little bit about your brother, just so we can also center that memory.
Thank you. My brother, he was a very interesting man. He was a a former Air Force Venezuelan military mechanic. So he was in love with airplanes. He was the fourth in my family. I'm the youngest. He was before me. Very strong man, married 3 times, not too easy to deal with, but with a very, very big heart. He started battling this disease, I would say 10 years ago. And it just slowly started getting deteriorated and deteriorating to the point towards the end, he was almost blind in both eyes and etc. So it's a disease that he himself said, you don't even realize that it's consuming your body from the inside, and you don't even realize it until the very end.
And his name?
I'm sorry?
His name.
Orlando Fuentes.
Just so we can hold that
You.
with us as we are speaking about this production. So Lisa, I would love to bring your voice in and talk about what it means for you to be on this stage in this show during Women's History Month playing Malin.
It's an experience of a lifetime, that's for sure. Not only are we, bringing awareness to the problem of diabetes, but also the bonds of women, and for Women's History Month, how important it is to have those relationships. Throughout the show, we go through all of these ups and downs. There's a lot of laughter, just women congregating and being together in a safe space to just, be unapologetically themselves. There are some interesting characters in the show, and each one with their own special piece of a bond to the other. So it's a humbling and honoring experience to bring Malin to life, and to share the stage with such amazing, talented actresses. I'm having the time of my life doing it.
I also want to ask, I wasn't thinking about this, but it's true. There's sort of this dynamic where I imagine you're like congregating and talking off stage, like as yourselves, right? And then of course you go on stage and you're sort of doing the same thing. Like so much of this show is about women talking and the spaces women create, like the affinity spaces women create with each other. I'm wondering also how that feels at this moment. I mean, I was going to say not to get political, but theater is inherently political, and the arts, for better or worse, in this moment are inherently political if we look at what's happening across the country. And you are performing this show that is all about the bonds that women have with each other and how they take care of each other at a moment when I think like it can feel really scary for women and girls to look at our rights being taken away and to feel like we are walking backwards a little bit. And so I'm wondering how it feels to also have this space where you can walk into a rehearsal room and now a production and be with these other women.
It's amazing. And Billy and Neil have created this space for not only children, but adults to come to and have this beautiful expression. It's wonderful to kind of, I'm newer to the acting world. It's something I started doing to spend time with my children, and now I find myself doing it for adult time. And it's just wonderful to be able to walk into this space and sort of like leave your shoes for a moment and be somebody else, and kind of forget the muck of the world, and develop those bonds with other women who share this passion and love for expression. So it's just, especially in these times, We have our group chat offline, that we've connected, not just as actresses on stage, but we're friends now. And it's a beautiful thing to develop those relationships and those connections, because now more than ever in the world that we're living in, it's those essential human connections that, keep us going. You're on mute, Luce. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, and I'm also I'm thinking, so I was going to do this in a different order, but this actually feels like a good time to bring in the fact that Billy and Neil, you wear a lot of hats, like all the hats, right?
Sometimes
And probably some of them are really fashionable because this is the theater world. So you've got like some fedoras and some newsboy caps and some snapback hats. But you are known and beloved, I will say, by a lot of the young people I cover as running the New Haven Academy of Performing Arts, which technically is just over the line in East Haven.
Yes.
But that's okay. We're going to claim it in New Haven. We're going to take it.
Well, it started in New Haven, so you can claim it.
That's right. That's right. But Lisa, one thing that really stayed with me from what you were saying is you did this as a way to be with your children and connect with your children. And so I'm wondering if you can, I know that you have young thespians in your life, and I love that. And so I'm wondering if you can talk about what it means as a parent to have this safe space. Like theater spaces are sacred, because it's where like weird drama kid, I'm not saying you have weird drama kids, but I was a weird drama kid. It's where weird drama kids get to totally be themselves and feel loved and appreciated and safe.
Absolutely. And I think that it spills over into I feel like we have a lot of parental involvement within this space, which is amazing. But yes, I started out this journey because my children were constantly there and I missed them. And back in the day, I did do some singing a long time ago. Billy and I go way back. We went to high school together. And so that connection occurred there. And I said, you know what, if you can't beat them, join them. I have a passion for this myself. And so it began. And I was able to share the stage with my children for several productions. And, the experience that being on the stage with them, I think when you sit down and you watch a show, you're like, oh, that was great. It was wonderful. But you really get to appreciate all of the things that go on with being part of a production. It's not just a show. It from soup to nuts with, costuming and props and crew, lighting, design, sound, all of the things, but letting those children shine to be a part of all of that, and having them appreciate all that goes into making this production. It's truly a team effort. It's a varsity sport, and it's the space that Billy and Neil have created to allow our budding thespians to be who they are, to develop their own relationships with one another and to support each other. They're better humans for it. They go out into the world and they're excellent public speakers. They're the kids who are seeking out the kid who's sitting by themselves and inquiring, how can I be your friend? Those are the kinds of things that happen at New Haven Academy of Performing Arts, which you can't put a price tag on those kinds of things. Those are the kids that are going to change the world. And boy, do we need it.
Yeah, this feels like Billy and Neil. I would love to bring you into this. I love, Lisa, that you called it a varsity sport, which it totally is. Mm-hmm. And yet we see in the state and also in the way that municipalities fund the arts, we so rarely, I shouldn't say we, because I think everyone on this call would agree that theater should be funded, very robustly funded. But I think governing bodies rarely recognize the transformative power of the arts and the importance of building those soft skills that you can't, right? Like no one can take an F back for empathy or public speaking. And in some ways like there's no way to quantify what you're learning on a stage. But Lisa, you're absolutely right. Like the theater kids I know, they know how to share space. They know when to step forward. They're better at not interrupting their peers. They're incredibly empathetic human beings most of the time. And so Billy and Neil, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about the origin story of New Haven Academy of Performing Arts, which I know we spoke about in like deep COVID, when I think there was a zoning appeals meeting, but it's been a minute, and I love, like I love stories about how the arts transform your own lives, and then of course how you have made this decision to pay it forward.
Sure. So it's a very long story, so it's really hard sometimes to condense it. So if I take too long, by all means, please let me know. Hey, I need you to speed the process up, because it is a very long.
We love long stories.
It's been an almost 13-year journey. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle of how all these businesses unfolded. They all piggybacked off of one another, but the basis is I was on tour for 6 years, traveling the world, singing and dancing, and while I was doing that, I was teaching some voice lessons to a couple of the cast members that were dancers that wanted to make more money, because singers usually make more money than dancers do, and their careers in the business tend to last longer as well. And so when I got home on my last contract, Neil and I had been away from each other at 9 months at that point. And I felt on that time when I came back, it was the first time that it was really starting to hinder our relationship. And as much as I love performing, it is in me, it is who I am, I love my husband more. And so I needed to make a decision on, was I going to keep traveling without him and risk what it will do for the long haul of our relationship, or could I make a shift in career and do something different and still keep the arts in my life? So unfortunately, in Connecticut, we don't really have any type of situations where artists can consistently be performers and make a living at that. And although I am a performer, at the same time, unlike many of my peers who are performers, not speaking poorly about them, I've always had a business mindset as well. So I've always treated myself, even when I was professionally performing, as I'm a business. This is my business of what I do, right? So with that said, I needed to figure out a way that I could still be here to be with him and have our relationship, but at the same time, make money doing what I truly love. So I took a risk and I opened a voice studio at our house with just a couple students. I started to do that, and students were getting good results. The word started to spread. And then I decided, well, if I'm going to take this further, I need to get educated more, because I don't want to be a hack. A lot of people graduate from vocal programs as performers, and they think that because they're a performer and they sing, they can teach singing, and it's not the truth. Unfortunately, there's so many other pieces that go into the puzzle that a lot of times are not even learned in university training. So I found an organization called International Voice Teachers of Mix. I became the first accredited teacher in the state of Connecticut through them. Their program is a 2-year program. I graduated in 9 months, and from there on out, that started to spread very quickly, because my students were getting really, really fast results working with me, where they were with other teachers for a long period of time and just kind of plateauing and not getting anywhere. And the studio started to get really big in our home, and I took on an associate teacher, taught another teacher how to teach, thought that was going to be our thing. We had a little studio that we built in our house. That's how it became New Haven Academy of Performing Arts. It was Billy DiCrosta Vocal Studios originally, and then when it started to grow, our parents voted on a new name, and they came up with that name, not me. And then in the summer of 2015, we decided, both Neil and I, that we were going to do a summer camp with a friend of ours, which is Gina Helland. She owns Broadway Dance, which is on the 2nd floor of our building. And when we did that camp, it really unfolded another experience and magic in our life that we didn't expect. And we realized that we worked really, really well, the three of us together. And I was taking business classes on growing a music school, and was constantly getting trained that you need to get the school out of your house. It's never going to be big enough being, just in your house, and you could touch more lives if you're in a commercial space. And so I started looking at commercial spaces, and as I'm sure you can understand, they are incredibly expensive. Rents are just astronomical. Back then it was expensive enough. Now forget it. Today it's like a whole nother element. And so she said, well, what if you guys came here and we shared our space to get my space together? I have a studio in the front that's a smaller dance room that I don't use anymore, really. And you can make that into 2 teaching rooms for yourself. And we'll do it on a handshake, no leases or anything. And if it works out, great, we work together. And if it doesn't, you always know that you can go home. You have your home studio, but this way here, you're not locking yourself into some big expensive lease and wasting money. So needless to say, we did that, and that just started a storm of things happening. And so that
I
turned,
went to
yeah, then Neil left the restaurant business. I was in the restaurant business as well. I left when I moved in, and then right after that, he left the restaurant business as well and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to teach with you guys. Teach me to teach. And I was like, well, I mean, I can, but you don't have the same experience, so it's going to take time. And so he said, well, I don't really care. I don't want to work in the restaurant business anymore, so figure it out. So I started teaching Neil, but what I did with Neil was, at that point, we did a market search, and there was nobody in Connecticut teaching voice lessons in Spanish. So I started, that's where my business brain comes in. And so I said, well, we're going to market you as the only voice teacher offering Spanish lessons. And we have a really large Ecuadorian community in this side of East Haven. And so that started to fill him up very quickly. And then he decided that he wanted to start doing theater classes. And then he said, well, if we're going to do these theater classes, the kids have to have a goal. And so we need to do a show with them. So then we started to do all these little tiny cabaret shows. And when we first started to do them, we were doing them up in our dance studio. We used to convert our dance studio into a theater space and have tables, chairs, stage settings, the whole 9 yards.
On and off lights.
On and off
Unplug,
lights, yes.
Plug, unplug, plug,
Yes.
unplug.
And over 7 years, that developed into us taking over more spaces in the building. Eventually, I took over the downstairs front where there used to be a hair salon. And then, when you met us, right before COVID happened, the space that we're sitting in right now was a garage. It was a car repair shop and used car dealership. And they moved out in the middle of the night, and they left the garage door open. And I happened to walk by it, and I was nosy and walked in, and I looked around and I looked at him and I said, we need to take this place. This could be our theater. And it was disgusting.
Oh,
But
I'm
I do
sure.
have a background in design. I used to work in furniture and do home interior work and stuff like that. So I had a pretty good vision, and I'm like, I know I can make this place a theater. And so we signed on the dotted line right away because we didn't want to lose the space. And then COVID hit. And then we did the applications with the city of East Haven. And in the beginning, the city of East Haven, as much as I love my hometown, were not very welcoming to us. They did not want our space here because there is a lack of parking in this side of town, and they fought me tooth and nail. And I had droves of parents show up to different meetings from all over the state of Connecticut, because our kids come from all over, basically explaining how important our space is and that they drive so far to come to East Haven, and they would not be coming to East Haven and spending money in East Haven for any other reason if their child wasn't here, and how this place is changing their child's life, and how, there's a music school right down the street from me. I can go to that one, but I choose to drive an hour to bring my kid to East Haven for a reason. And so after fighting for a while, we won mid-COVID over Zoom. And then we really just couldn't do anything because COVID was going on. And then finally in 2022, we decided that things were starting to make a turn. And so we started the process. We built the theater, and we opened it in September of 22. While that happened, we were all coming off of COVID. This is where Broadway on Main ties into the whole situation. So while we were coming back from COVID, although we were seeing all of our students online at the time, we were starting to see in person that the kids were really having mental health issues. And there was some other situations arising that we never saw before pre-COVID. And so we decided that we needed to start a program for the community as a whole. How do we get more people in the building that are not our students? Because our students can't be the only ones. So we sat down with some friends of ours and my old acting teacher, and we decided that we were going to start a community theater program so we can reach more people, but keep it mental health focused. So we were creating a space where both children and adults can come, share their feelings, not feel judged, and use theater as a vehicle to better their lives. And so all the shows that we pick, even sometimes things as funny as me being Buddy the Elf and Lisa playing my stepmom in that show, there are underlying mental health issues within that show of what the character goes through and how we resolve them by the end. So it all ties back into what we do. And we have felt from the get-go that, kind of tying off of what Lisa said a little while ago, about being better outside of these walls. So I always say in most shows when I'm talking to families and audience members, we truly believe in the power of theater, and we know that the more children that have the opportunity to be in these four walls in a loving space where they are learning empathy and respect and how to create together, then when they leave these four walls, we have an opportunity for a better world than we're living in today, because they are really our future. And that's really, truly, to me, the power of theater. It's what it can do to change someone's life for the better. It can change your life for the better as an audience member, but it could also change your life for the better on the stage as well. So both on and off the stage.
I think there's also just like a real value to stepping into someone else's shoes.
Mhm.
And so, Lisa, actually, this feels like a really timely place to bring your voice back in. I know you talked a little bit already about playing this role and being in Steel Magnolias, but I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about just like what it means to like step into another character's shoes. And of course, Billy and Neil, I would love to hear from both of you as well.
So I sort of get to step into other shoes because I'm always the mom. So like there's always a part of me that
Sorry, Lee.
it's okay, except for Mrs. Phelps. I got to be Mrs. Phelps in Matilda, and that was probably, I loved being Mrs. Phelps because she was so eccentric and so, well, I guess some people will say I'm eccentric, but I felt like I was a different sort of eccentric in that role. And I loved, it's so freeing to step into somebody else's shoes and kind of forget life for a moment and just be somebody else. It's actually quite empowering. And it's awesome being a student to take the direction from the director. Like you kind of have your own idea of who is this character, like what do I want to bring? But then when your director is looking at it, you know, from the back of the theater and says they have just a whole different view of what's going on and how important it is to take those notes and to further develop your character. You know, it's a humbling experience to go through that. Something I think also important to life, you know, sometimes it's just not the way you think it should be, and somebody has a different vision, and you need to receive that, and you need to, it's kind of, it's adulting at its finest. So, I don't know. I love getting on stage and being somebody else for a couple of hours. It's actually therapeutic.
I love that also, like, you feel like you get this masterclass in adulting when you, as a mom, like, I have a very young child, so it's a different experience, but I feel like they look up to you and you're like, oh, shoot, like, someone is trusting me to do this all the time and I can't stop doing that. What? And they think I'm making the right decisions and I don't know if I'm making the right decisions. So the fact that you get a space to also like take a step and also listen to, you know, maybe Neil says, I don't like how you did that. I want you to do it a different way.
It happened this weekend and it turned out beautifully when, you know, you stop and listen to what someone has to say to you. You need to be, you need to receive.
I love that.
You know, you need to receive feedback. Feedback is a gift. And,
There's also a trust factor that comes into that too, though. You have to
Yes.
trust the person that you're working with in the collaboration to
Mhm.
say, hey, they're seeing something that I'm not seeing because I'm in it. They're out there
Yep,
looking at it from the outside window, and we've got to tie our ideas in together to make the whole vision come together. But you can't do that without trust.
correct. Agreed. And, you know, there's been lots of car conversations with my children, back and forth to rehearsals, you know, and having the opportunity to be a part of it, to really understand what it is that they're talking about when we have those moments together, and just being able to help them work through some of the frustrations and the highs and the lows. Um, it's really been like, it's been such a gift to be a part of this part of their life. Not many parents get to be on that journey with their kids, and so I treasure it. And I'm so proud of my son. He's thriving, and he's going to be in his high school production as a freshman, and I have no doubt that all of the guidance and teaching and support and mentorship that he has received is going to get him to where he's going. And the same thing with my daughters. They're turning into wonderful humans, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with their connections, that they have created, in the space of New Haven Academy of Performing Arts and Broadway on Main, like, no doubt.
And connections are important because Luke is a very special young man. And I have seen this kid grow up, literally. I have seen him since he was a little chubby baby to now this stud football player. Uh,
A football player who does theater,
who does
nonetheless.
theater. But now, because of what he does and because of us as directors and producers can see in certain people, this is not an easy thing for me to do, but I gave him, he's now leading the wedding singer. He's Robbie in Wedding Singer for a very special production. And I do this not to give him the lead and the thing about, the egotistical part of being the lead. I do this because I want them to go through this experience. This program, he is going to be working with a 75% cast of people who are mentally disabled. So it's a humbling experience. So I want my kids to realize that theater is for everyone. It's just not the one who are, no, I don't want to say perfect because no one is perfect, but the one who don't have those kind of issues. Anybody can do theater, and it can be as successful as doing it on Broadway or doing it on community theater or doing it in high school.
Agreed.
And I want to talk about the bonds and the friendships for just a second, because again, going back to the power of theater. So if it weren't for this experience, I wouldn't have the friendship that I now have with Lisa, because so Lisa and I, yes, we went to East Haven high school together, but I was only in East Haven for my freshman year. We were in choir together. I left because of bullying situations to go to live in West Haven. So this brought and I didn't have any connection with her all those years. So had she not come here with her children and then get involved, this relationship would have never occurred. And I am beyond grateful for the friendship that we've built over the past, I don't know, it's been now 3 or 4 years. So it's so interesting how things can come full circle back around. And again, we go back to the transformation and the power of theater, right? So we're building these special friendships that I would not have had in my life otherwise. So I feel I might have gotten robbed of this friendship when we were kids because of unfortunate situations, but I also feel like there's a gift that's been given back to me, and it may be even a greater gift now because of what we get to do together. And I get to have her children with me all the time. So
Y'all are gonna make me cry on radio.
yeah, we cry. Listen, be careful. Lisa literally cries at the drop of a dime. So be careful
Girl, me
what might
too.
ensue.
Me
I'm
too.
surprised I haven't cried yet, to be quite honest. But
And I will say, like, I love this balance, and I also wanted to ask, because the other day I was talking to someone who she's not in arts and she's not an educator, and so it's okay. But she was like, I don't understand. You went and you covered a community theater production of Cinderella, but your child was not in it. And I was like, no. She was like, and you didn't know people in it. And I was like, no. And she was, so I don't understand why you covered it. And I was like, because it was magic. Okay. Um, and so I'm wondering, it was magic. And I'm sure that there are lessons that will come out of that production, out of this production. I saw that y'all are doing with the New Haven Academy of Performing Arts School of Rock in May.
No. That's
No.
Broadway, I mean.
Oh, that's Broadway. I mean, I am so sorry. I
New Haven
misspoke.
Academy of Performing Arts. We only do musicals with the kids in the summertime. So in the summer, we're
Amazing.
doing Mean Girls, SpongeBob, and Matilda.
Oh my
Throughout
God.
the school year, our school does
Holiday cabaret.
a caboose,
Yes.
a cabaret musical, basically. We do a Halloween show, Christmas show, Valentine's Day show, and an end of the school year celebration show in June. And then we have our rock band program that does 4 rock band shows as well throughout the year. But no, School of Rock is specifically for Broadway on Main's community
Oh, I love it.
program. So kids
That's
can come
amazing.
all over and auditioned for it. And it's
Yes.
also going to be a really amazing experience because of our size of our theater. Typically, we have to use tracks when we do shows because we don't have a room for an orchestra pit.
Right.
However, with this show, where School of Rock, the musical, is tying into our program at New Haven Academy of Performing Arts, is the kids in the band are actually playing live on stage. So
Cool.
they've been in rehearsal the last couple of weeks, and I actually stepped into rehearsal last night. I was like, "Oh my God, they sound amazing!" Like
I
people
bet they
would be
sound
like,
really
"What is
good."
going on right now?" Like,
Yes. So
Yeah.
I want to ask about balancing, because I think there's this like assumption that you have to do serious theater if you want to learn from it. And like
There
serious
is.
theater has its place. I love serious theater. You know, shout out to Long Wharf. They're running August Wilson's Gem of the Ocean right now. Amazing, amazing show. Amazing show. And there is also a place for like fun, joyful theater. And so I'm wondering if you can just talk about balancing like joy, the need for laughter, the need to step into these spaces where you like get to be someone else, get to be a little funky, get to be maybe a little bit more brave on stage than you feel in real life. With the real serious lessons that you're teaching, and the fact that y'all also do some, I mean, Steel Magnolias is a very bittersweet show.
I would say that even the shows that are, out of this world, not realistic and incredibly funny with lots of satire and such, I think there is still a serious side to all of that. And I understand where you're coming from because I do know some arts educators that don't agree with Neil and I, and that's totally fine, right? We all have the right to our opinion, but some of the more classically trained teachers feel like in order for a child or a youth actor to become a great actor and performer, that they have to study the greats and they have to study Uta Hagen and et cetera, that you can't learn theater through musical theater. And I would throw money down to beg to differ because I have had many a successful student graduate over the years that have gone on to great careers in theater arts and beyond. So it's maybe not how you feel comfortable teaching and what you envision. However, we're us and we envision it in a different way. And we know that it works. Otherwise, we wouldn't have those students going on and doing great things, right?
Well, it depends how you also approach any show from the direction point of view. The idea of a show is in my point of view when I direct a show, it is not to do a show. Because a show is a show. A show is a person who can be standing up saying stupidity, and that is a show. When I direct a show such as Steel Magnolias, I'm not looking to portray anyone. My job is to figure out how the actors are going to awaken feelings in the audience that they had before, and they're now reliving them. My job as a director is to make sure that that audience is feasting themselves not only with their eyes, but the feast is coming from the inside. Oh my God, I'm feeling the same thing. Or I'm feeling pain, or I'm scared, when we do, and I know many of my friends, especially my husband, are against this. But if I am going to scare the audience, I am going to scare the audience. No, 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 don't put the explosion too high, because I'm going to scare the audience, because that's what we are here for. We are here for to awaken feelings, to make you think, to make you analyze a situation that could happen in real life. And in order for you to do that in real way, you need not only to watch it, but you need to feel it.
So I also, before our time ends, I know we've sort of gone out of the order that we had initially talked about, but I want to also ask about Cabaret on Main and where this also fits into just the vision.
Cabaret Maine, the easiest way to explain it is still New Haven Academy of Performing Arts, right? It's our physical theater. So it's a space, it's not a theater group. And I know that can be a little bit confusing sometimes. So really, New Haven Academy of Performing Arts and Cabaret on Main are one entity. And then Broadway on Main is our nonprofit outreach program for the community, so that you don't have to be a student to be in a show. So the shows that happen with New Haven Academy of Performing Arts specifically are student-driven only shows. And then the shows that happen for Broadway on Main are community theater driven. So yes, our students may come out for auditions for it, but the community come out to audition for it as well. That's kind of the easiest way to explain it, so that you don't get overly confused.
Just a building.
I love that.
It's just a space. It's a
It's a space,
we
and
rent
it
it out.
is.
We have other theaters come here. We have a comedy troupe that we hire, extreme comedy, a few times a year, or when we have some things that maybe are not as busy, to bring in other senses of business, but also just something different for the customer as well. We've had parties here, all different kinds of events.
Corporate
I was-
events, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I love that people can also rent out the space, because I think one thing that we hear in not just the performing arts, but sort of like the fine and performing arts in the greater New Haven area, is that artists need space. That
Yeah.
is one of the most common things that I hear over and over again. I have this idea, I have a troupe, I have a script, and I need a physical space to make my vision happen. And so that's
one of the things that makes us a little bit different than the standard theater way. Most theaters are 100% nonprofit, and there's a board of directors, et cetera. No one owns the actual theater itself. As we're here, we own the actual theater, and then our community theater program is our resident community theater, right? That rents out from us. So that's kind of like a little bit different in the standard industry.
I think it's a really powerful model, though, especially because, like, as we know, I think theater, COVID is part of this, but theater is just changing and has changed hugely, certainly in the past 5 years, but really in the past decade. If you look at what's happening from everything from Broadway, like Broadway in New York, to American Regional Theater and spaces that at one point, like, were really certain that they would have their brick and mortar space and are now moving into itinerancy. It's really powerful to have this building and to have a physical space. And then, of course, the magic that happens.
As well, because we know it's ours.
Yes. Yeah, that's
It's not because of that, because we have so much more creative opportunities, because we can be here at any time of any day when we want to be here. We're not a union house, so we don't have to follow union rules. If Neil wants to come in at 2:00 in the morning, which he does quite often, and work when no one's in the building, so that he could create all the magic and make all his immersive projections and different things that he does that nobody else is doing, we can do that, right? We don't have to follow any standards or anything like that. So that kind of that helps a lot in our creative process. It also helps the kids, give them a different sense of safety, because they're performing in their home, away from home. And for some of these kids, like Lisa's kids, et cetera, some of these kids are here literally 6-7 days a week. They live here. Right? They're here so many hours. So by the time they get in front of an audience, they own this place and they feel so confident because they're comfortable on stage. That's also why we do shows so often. A lot of places might only do 4 shows a year, or maybe a typical dance studio might do 1 or 2 shows a year. Our students are in shows almost every 6 weeks. we're constantly in show mode because we feel the more opportunities that they have on stage, the more confident they are going to be, the better skill sets they are going to have. So they're constantly driven and working towards a goal. And not saying, oh, oh yeah, we can put a show on and you have 3 months or 4 months to put it on. Well, I have news for you. As a performer professional, you don't have 3 or 4 months to put on a show in the real world. If you're lucky, if you have 6 weeks, sometimes you in a summer stock production, in some little theater in rural Mississippi or something like that, you got 2 weeks to put the whole darn thing together. So time is money in the professional industry. So they have to learn how to pick things up very quickly and study and get it done. So I think that also helps develop their brain. And I'm so many of our kids I'm highly impressed with. I don't know any student currently right now in my school, and I know all of them. They're not honor roll students. And I'd really bring that back, that I think that has to do with theater. And
I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean,
education is the only thing that trains both the left side and the right side of the brain at the same time. Sports doesn't do that. I'm not downplaying sports, but when you go back to what you said in the beginning about theater programs and arts education not being funded, music programs not being funded, this is another reason why it should be funded. You're saying you want kids to have better testing scores. You want to create more empathetic people. You want them to get into all these colleges that you're pushing on them. Give them arts education and they'll get there.
and time management, I will say,
Yes.
which you mentioned, like time management is huge. And in not all school theater programs, but I know that, of course, a lot of your kids go and do theater in their high school theater programs as well.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Peyton Goodwin, who is Roxy Hart right now in Chicago, like just a gorgeous production of Chicago at Cooperative Arts and Humanities High School. And when I asked her, what do you think of this home? Again, when you go back to this idea that it is for many of these children and young adults, their second home, she said New Haven Academy of Performing Arts. I mean, like instantly, right? Mm-hmm. So I think time management is huge because kids know that the kids and young adults know that they have to stay on top of their grades, get their homework done, all that good. And, I assume some of the young people you're working with are also like in dance classes and when I tell you they're all the things.
I'm sometimes
they live there.
Rehearsals. They are literally here all night.
I
they
love
are
it.
Dance, rock band, private instrument lessons.
They're doing it.
Their school show,
acting
football,
classes.
Acting
Mm-hmm.
class. So yes, and their parents have to be very good at time management as well. Sometimes I have they have to come to Mr. Billy a little bit, and sometimes I have to say, you need to slow down. You're doing too much. You can't be everywhere and do everything well, right? So you can't be in our show, be in that show, be over here. Sometimes they actually have to hear no, which is a word that most people don't hear very often in today's society. So sometimes that's a good thing for them as well. It's also teaching them you can't do everything and do it well. Sometimes you have to do a little bit less, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Yes. And that's a really important lesson, I think, for young people to learn as well. Like, oh, I bit off more than I can chew, and here's how I have. And also, owning that.
Yeah, but also there is an aspect of us as educators to be able to guide the student the right way when it comes to this theater specifically, because you're gonna get, you always get the student that always wants to be the lead, and they are so good that fortunately they always get the lead. So what I've been doing now, we've been changing that pattern a little bit. Like we have a specific student that I specifically told him, you're always the lead. You were the lead on this, you were the lead on that, you were the lead on that. I said, stop. For the next show, you're not auditioning for the lead at all. What you're gonna do now is you're gonna ask this question to yourself. What am I going to learn new that I don't know that I can learn in this show? And that's the part you're going for. So you can start becoming a well-rounded artist.
Absolutely. So before we run out of time, I just want to remind people that you're listening to Arts Respond on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. We are talking about many things, including the production of Steel Magnolias running right now at Broadway through the Broadway on Main Theater Company. I did not drink enough coffee this morning.
At
Productions
Cabaret.
have already started, but they are running. You should catch this before it disappears. They're running on Friday, March 13th, Saturday, March 14th at 7 p.m., and then Sunday, March 15th at 1 p.m., and then again that evening at 6 p.m. And then also on, I think I got all the time. I'm thinking,
Same time
oh,
zone.
and the 20th and the 21st and the 22nd. And y'all are located at it's 597, right?
597 Main Street.
597 Main Street in East Haven.
Correct.
So one question that I really always love asking artists, because this show grew out of like when we were all in our houses in the COVID pandemic, is how, as you are pouring into other people, are you taking care of yourselves as well?
Oh, self-care is definitely a very important factor to it. It's not always so easy because, like you said in the beginning of this statement, Neil and I wear a lot of hats. So being that we are the owners of the physical building, the school and theater, and then director, lighting director, set designer, costume designer, head painter, toilet scrubber, and everything in between, we both definitely tend to overextend ourselves. But that is, I think, how we are both naturally built. It's why we work well together, because we do have a restaurant background as well. We're used to working endless hours and running around and multitasking. I'm sure we both have ADHD, and it feeds into our artistic ADHD. I'm always 15 projects in. That's just kind of how my mind works. So on an average, not to joke around, what it really takes, Neil and I work most days probably anywhere between 12 plus hours or more a day, some days 16 hours. Definitely in the summertime, because of our camp programs, we usually get here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of times we don't get out till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So we go home, we sleep for a couple hours, and we come back and we do it all over again. We know and understand that that's not how everyone is built. We just had this conversation last night that we do feel, and I think Lisa is this way as well, because she's a workhorse. She's a nurse at the VA and a mom and doing all the other things that she's doing, that I also think it's a generational difference, how we're built. I definitely think that generations over the last maybe 10, 15 years are more about this work-life balance, and they can't handle as much. I don't know. I don't want to talk poorly about them because I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think that their brains are wired differently. And because they grew up through COVID, things are just very, very different for them. So for the average person, maybe the average person might work 9 to 5 and can only handle 8 hours a week or 8 hours a day, sorry. And that's it. And they have to have the other things. As for us, this is our passion. This is what we do. We are obsessed with it, if anything, right? We want to do it all the time. Plus, we don't have to wait to go home to see our husband, right? We're together 24 hours a day. And that's that makes us odd to begin with, because Lisa can genuinely tell you, like, we don't really fight. Like, this is just who we are. Like, we might bicker at each other for 2 seconds or something, but we let it go 2 seconds later. In general, we're together all the time. So we don't also have that need, oh, I got to get home, I got to go cook, I got to see my wife, I have to cook dinner, or I got to get the kids ready. My kids are all here. I have 200 plus of them. So it's definitely, there's something different about it. We're weird. That's it. We're weird theater people.
I don't think weird. I mean, I also think like this is your love language, and so that really helps.
Yeah.
And I love. I mean, yeah, I think it's okay to be a little cranky about the youngins, and
we have really good staff, but I definitely will say a couple of my younger staff members get overwhelmed I see it that they get overwhelmed incredibly easy. They can really only focus on like one task at a time, which is, again, it's not a bad thing. And then they burn out very early, like, 7, 8 o'clock at night. They're mentally checked out. They're done. They can't understand how him and I just keep going and going. They think we're the Energizer rabbits. Like, we just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, try 25 tickets of food waiting for you to.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about restaurants, right? Or working a double or triple,
Yes.
running all over the place, running after all. 200 people that are hungry
This
and
is-
screaming at you and everything else. So I think that every artist, I will say, I think that every artist, even if they become professional artists at some point, they should have to work in the restaurant business. I think everybody in general should have to work in the restaurant business because it definitely makes you humble. It gives you a sense of humility, and it teaches you how to multitask. You have to multitask in a restaurant.
You do.
You have to wear many, many hats. You have to be happy even when you're having a horrible day. You know?
I think
Or-
that's true.
It is definitely, I believe, in a generation because you go through things that you never know you're going to go through, and you have to handle it. I was in an airplane crash. I handled that very fine. I went on Chopped, the food show in Food Network. I did another food show. This is 20 minutes that you have to create a recipe. I mean, the stress is high up there. That's life. That's the way it is. I just feel that after working in the restaurant business for 20 years, I haven't worked for 11 years.
Because
At
it's
all.
fun. It's fun for us. We
I
love it.
love what I do.
So I think it's also about finding what you love to do. A lot of people look at work as work, and that is, I think that's what makes it difficult for them, and that's why they get that sense of burning out and such, because it's work to them. This is not work to us. It's our true passion and love, and if I can invoke that in other people and get other people to do what they love as well, our students to follow their passion and love, by all means, go and do that. Tell even my graduate students that are looking at musical theater programs and such, I'm like, if there's anything else that you feel you can do with your life and love as much, go get your degree in that. When you walk into an audition room, you don't necessarily need a degree. It's not going to mean that you're going to get the job or not. So you can minor in theater, you can go and you could take private lessons at other places. You could go take dance classes, acting classes while you're getting your college degree and have that degree as your back burner when you get out. Or if you really truly feel there is nothing else you can do with your life that would complete you, then okay, go get your degree in theater.
Lisa,
Lisa.
Yeah.
I would love to hear how you also, and maybe also I'll put a thought in just for rephrasing that question. Yeah, how you take care of yourselves, because I think also, Billy, one thing that I'm hearing is one way that y'all take care of yourselves is doing this work as opposed to like, right? I don't think you would be happy if you
There's
worked
self-love in what we do. Well, there's pride in what we
Absolutely.
do. I mean, when it comes to taking care of ourselves, I happen to be married to a chef, so that's very helpful. I eat really, really well. He cooks for me all the time. I loathe cooking. I might cook on TV and such with him, and I can throw down if I have to, but it's not something that I have any joy in doing. Neil left for a week last week during the first week of Steel Mags. He wasn't here. He had to go somewhere, and so he cooked for me ahead of time and made me meal prepped for me for the whole week, so that all I had to do was heat food up because he knows if he's gone, I'm not going to eat, or I'm just going to go out to a restaurant because I don't want to cook anything. I'm definitely spoiled when it comes to that. And I take care of all the business sides of things. And I take care of to do that in our house, and I do a lot of the cleaning and different things. So it's just, again, it's balance and taking care of each other. He is my best friend, so that is very helpful as well. And my mother lives with us as well. She's my other best friend, and I'm very blessed because I have a husband that treats my mother as if she is his own, and he takes such good care of her that I know that, God forbid, if I wasn't around or something ever happened, that I know that my mom would be taken care of, and that means a lot to me. He doesn't have family here, so this is his family, so there's that portion of it as well. Getting time to spend, getting to say, hey, Lee, we're done. Let's go out and have a drink. Right? Let's go for margarita. Come on, let's veg out before you go home to the kids. So that's nice as well. But sometimes when she doesn't have the kids with us, we can get some us time.
Yeah,
Which
Lisa.
isn't often, but when it happens, it's
Correct.
always welcome.
Yeah, let's end with, for you, how are you're pouring into so many other people. I think like working in healthcare is so stressful. And then you go do a second completely uncompensated shift as a mom, right? And by second shift, I mean like that's like 5 jobs. And then you're also on the stage, which is beautiful. So how are you taking care of yourself? And maybe it's being in this production.
I was going to say, I think it's probably that. Listen, you can make anything happen and you can have the time for everything that you want to, you just have to make the time. You have to prioritize it and prioritize what your needs are. I'm not going to lie, I go for a facial once a month. I've started doing that as my 1 hour a month. That's my time. Um, when I can get walks in, I go for walks now that the weather has turned around. It's been much better. But really my time is my time at the theater. I really enjoy escaping and just being with other women who, again, enjoy being on that stage as much as I do and learning from them, learning from Mr. Neil and Mr. Billy and all the things. Um, yeah, I think theater is my therapy. It is my me time. And there are times where it gets stressful, work gets in the way and kids need things. So there are some late nights, line bashing and doing all the things, but when I remind myself that this is fun, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, it kind of all just it falls into place. And like Mr. Neil always says, trust the process. Um, and it works. And the show is beautiful. The production is a wonderful production. I think if people come, it's a perfect blend of, the movie and the play. I think most people love Steel Magnolias because they love the movie. And it's not fully the movie, it's a beautiful blend and representation of the story of six women, their bond, their friendship, and it's a great show.
Well, the last question I always ask is just, if folks want to find out more, and they should, where can they go to find y'all? And is registration still open for your summer programming? Because I know that parents are looking for.
Yep, so they are highly sought out after. We have very limited space left right now for our teenager program. We only have one spot left for our teens.
That's great.
Have 5 spots left in Matilda and I think 7 spots left in SpongeBob. So they do sell out fairly quickly. However, if they wanted to register a child for something like that or lessons or anything in between, that they would visit our school's website, which is nhaopa.com. And then if they wanted to see anything about the theater and upcoming shows, they would visit the actual theater's website, which is cabaret-on-main.com.
I just want to thank you all so much for joining me on Arts Respond. It has been so joyful. And I also want to say, just as someone who is watching like the performing arts implode a little bit because no one has money right now, I'm thrilled to hear that your summer programs are almost completely filled. That is a success story. It's a testament to the trust you've built and the love that students have for this space where they know that they can come and be completely themselves. So thank you all.
I also
so
want
much.
to thank you because you were talking about the person questioning why you went to Cinderella earlier in the interview, and I'm always mesmerized how many people that are writers that write reviews on shows and such won't come out to review community theater shows. They'll only review professional productions. And I think that's such a disservice to the readers and the people, because there are so many beautiful productions out there that are more affordable that the average family can actually go to and enjoy, that they're not made aware of because people aren't covering it. And I constantly at our theater production, not only thank people for being here, but consistently express to them, please go support other theater. There are wonderful local theater organizations that are producing top-notch shows in the area. Please go support them. Yes, professional theater is important, but you know what? Community theater is really the grassroots. It's the backbone of everything, and it does have the power to change lives, and it can change the audience life. Maybe a family can't afford to spend $1,000 to go see a Broadway show, but they could afford maybe $100 or something to come see a community theater production. So go support local production, and
Yes.
you meet incredible Local artists. I have had so many people ask me since since we did
Misery.
Misery and Steel Magnolias, and both of them. Is this a touring group that came through? Like, where did you, are they from New York? Like, the acting is just absolutely exquisite. And when I tell them, no, these are local actors who work other jobs, and this is what they're doing for their passion. They're mesmerized by the quality and level of what they're seeing. So there is really good work out there to go and see.
And we have the talent here in Connecticut.
Ooh, we really do.
And
We
it's
have
not just
incredible-
Gilmore Girls. I mean, Gilmore Girls is great. I'm not knocking it, but yeah, but I think people hear Connecticut and they think that's it, and they've got to go to New York or to
And
Boston to
even
get
the
their
kids, go
entertainment.
support kid productions, because you know what? Kids need an audience. They're our future. They thrive off of hearing that applause from an audience. Just because you don't have a kid in a show doesn't mean you don't have to go see the show. I have many audience members here, the same thing like you were saying. They come to our shows not knowing any children in our show. Some of them say, oh, I thought I was coming to see a kids show. This wasn't a kids show. This was a show that had kids in it. This is ridiculous. This was so good. And I feel very humbled and blessed that they think that of us. But, you know, we go to see so many school productions. I just went to see, like you said, I just went to see Chicago last night. I'm going to see Little Shop of Horrors on Thursday. I'm going on Saturday to see my students in Anastasia up in Wallingford at Sheehan. I'm going to see Lisa's son Luke right after Steel Magnolias. She and I are going to see her son in his production of All Shook Up. I try to get to as many shows as I can. So please go support the arts, support the kids. They need our support. It takes a
And I
village.
can speak as an adult, like when you're on stage and you've got an audience that's engaged, like you're going to get an even better show because you feed off of that energy that's sitting in front of you. And if you have a stale, dead audience, that's what you're going to get, more of a stale, dead performance. Like you need that energy. It's a reciprocal relationship.
We're empaths as actors, right? And so you really do feed off of human connection and energy. And so there's something magical that happens in a room of theater that you can't get when you watch on television. So many people always want to take their phones out and record their kids and such, and what they're not understanding is you cannot recreate this moment. It's this was just a moment in the woods. Really, really means something. I try to watch sometimes shows on YouTube or something like that when I'm researching, and I'm like, oh, it's just, I can't get into it. Live theater doesn't read well on camera. It must be felt, and you must be in the room where it happens.
Yeah, I think that's true. Nice little Hamilton reference to end the
Actually, our theater says that outside. It says you're in the room where it happens.
amazing. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. And
Thank you.
have a beautiful day. It's this, well, the sun was shining.
Now we got to get you to it.
Yeah, I know. I'm
You
trying.
should come see Steel Magnolias. Come
I
see
want
it.
to. I will say bedtime
Let
makes
me
it
know, and I
very
have a
hard.
seat
But yes,
for you and whoever you want to bring.
awesome. Cool. Thank y'all so much.
Have a great
Sunday
day.
matinees, so come to the Sunday show.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye.